Hello, viewers. Welcome to Frontline Conversations. Today, I'm happy to be having a conversation with two members of Bahutva, a civil society group active in Karnataka, in Bangalore particularly. Bahutva is a coalition of concerned individuals and groups who have been working on a series of reports assessing 10 years of the Modi government. To converse about Bahutwa's activities, today I'm very happy to have Miss Anupama Hegde along with me and Mr. Vinay Sreenivasa. Thank you, Vinay. Thank you, Anupama, for joining us at Frontline today. Vinay, if you could start off by telling me what does Bahutwa mean and what does it stand for?
See, Bahutva means pluralism, diversity. So Bahutva Karnataka was formed because Karnataka has a tradition of pluralism and diversity, and we have a lot of syncretic traditions. And we felt that this is being lost in the last few years. So we felt that we want to come together to uphold a plural and diverse Karnataka and uphold a plural and diverse traditions and hold everybody together.
Last few years, meaning you're talking particularly about the what the changes that took place in Karnataka after the BJP government came to power, or are you talking about the changes that took place in India since the Modi government came to power?
Well, changes have been taking place in India since the Modi government came to power and a little before, but especially when Mr. Boma became the CM and he made these statements like every action has a equivalent opposite reaction. So Karnataka, the violence started spiraling out of control, and that's when we felt the need to form something like Bahutva Karnataka to form both casteism and communalism. And so it's a broad coalition of individuals and organizations uh, who we've all come together to fight these two and to uphold pluralism.
Okay, Miss Anupama, last year, in leading up to the legislative assembly elections in Karnataka, civil society organizations played a very strong and robust role in building awareness about the policies of the BJP government that were harmful to religious minorities, to the pluralistic character of Karnataka, even perhaps detrimental to constitutional values itself. As part of that, Bahutva Karnataka brought out a series of 15 report cards. Can you briefly discuss what those report cards discussed and what role they played in the perhaps in the campaign, of the legislative assembly elections?
So actually, our intent with those report cards is, as the word itself says, that we wanted to hold the government accountable. So we, as ordinary citizens, felt that it was necessary to actually assess how the government had performed on certain metrics. So the approach we took there was we identified various areas that we would want to assess the government's performance, and we looked at within our organization, also within our collective, what expertise we had, what experts could provide us, and we actually approached different people for different areas. For example, we had healthcare, we had education, we had federalism, then also we had democracy, law, I think. We had done almost 12 to 14 reports at that time. So what we saw that was that it was quite lengthy, the report. So we decided at that time to not just have a longer report, but also synthesize it into a one pages where people don't read that much. At least they have a quick visual on what is happening. And just to get attention, we gave grades also for the report card. So that was the idea. Whether or not it impacted, that is for other people to say. But we
Well, as a journalist, I think it did play a small but very useful role in bringing about awareness of the perhaps mistakes that the Bombay government had made till then. So, I mean, kudos to you, to Bahutwa, for bringing out those very detailed report cards. How did you go about identifying experts and scholars? Because all these reports are authored by a variety of experts and subject scholars. So, if you can briefly discuss that, because that will lead up to your activities this year as well.
So actually, the I think the good part about Bahutva Karnataka is that we already have a good network of people who are doing a lot of different kinds of work. There are lawyers, there are academics, there are social activists, human rights activists. There are ordinary people who from other professions also. So we had already within our network, if not already Bahutva members, we had Bahutva members who knew people like that. So that's how we were able to tap into that network and to get that kind of expertise.
And this network was sustained over the past year,
Yeah, of course, because
which has led to the six detailed reports that you brought out over the past couple of months. So, please correct me if I'm wrong. So, basically, you have used replicated that model that you did last year, and you have sort of used it to assess the nation in the sense 10 years of Modi government. So, Vinay, what subjects have these reports covered, and why did you pick these themes?
See, this election is being fought by the ruling coalition, saying that this is on Mr. Modi's guarantees. So we wanted to say, okay, what are to what extent are those guarantees actually a guarantee, right? Or has the warranty on those guarantees expired? So we decided to take certain themes which are crucial to India as a country and to our future, and to assess what the Modi government has claimed versus the ground realities. Right? So, for example, Article 1 of the Constitution says India, that is Bharat, shall be a union of states. We are a federal country. Right? But federalism has seen several attacks over the last 10 years. So that's one of the reasons we've chosen federalism, because if federalism doesn't stay, then it's really difficult for us to be united. And two, we've seen the caste system has wreaked havoc over hundreds of years, and 75 years after independence, it's still causing lots of problems. So therefore, we felt that social justice is also really important, because Dalits and Adivasis have been really neglected. Similarly, we also brought out a third report on education, because the future, young India is the most biggest percentage. Whereas if you look at the population, youngsters are the maximum, and education is a really crucial year, and something which got badly affected during COVID, the lockdown. Education. Similarly, employment. I think historically we are at probably our highest unemployment rates. So that's why we also looked at unemployment. And then similarly, women, who constitute half the population, and something which has really affected our democracy a lot, which is the media, the state of media. So these are six report cards which are already out, and guarantee checks which are already out, and we are also bringing three more on the environment, on what has happened to the right to freedom in the last 10 years, and what's happened with the rule of law in this country.
Thank you, Vinay. Ms. Anupama, Vinay had mentioned the six themes on which reports have been brought out, detailed reports as I've looked at them. So these are social justice, media, federalism, education, Nari Shakti, and employment. And I found your method very simple but effective and interesting, because you've either picked out something from the BJP's manifesto, or you've picked up something that Prime Minister Modi has stated himself in a public space, and then you've sort of evaluated it against data that is available in the public domain. So it's effective. It's not deeply researched, deeply investigated, ferreted material, from hidden sources. But what is available in the public domain, which shows that the Modi government has failed severely on various indicators within these themes. Would you agree with me? Is there nothing to redeem the Modi government? Have you been so harsh in your assessment?
I don't think that we are saying that, but what we are really trying to do here is, see, when people say things and the government says certain things, ordinary people like you and me, we believe that. I mean, we and also it sticks in our heads, right? There is a perception that is built around the claims made or whatever they say. So, but over time, many of us feel that there's something wrong here, that it isn't all adding up. So this is the approach that we took. We wanted to actually delve deeper and see, what is the reality of these claims. Is it we are not doing a comprehensive job, or we are not saying that they've done nothing. good. We are just evaluating on certain very prominent claims and narratives and seeing what is the reality in that particular aspect. So that is the approach that we've taken.
Okay, let's talk about employment,
Yeah, sure.
since it's one of the major problems that Indians have been facing. So, what were the government's claims and how have they failed?
So employment was a very tricky thing because the government claimed that they would provide 2 crore jobs a year. And so that sounds great. I mean, obviously, and also here another thing was that the PLFS, that is the Periodic Labor Force Survey that was done, also showed an unemployment rates were going down. So that also looks really good. So what's to complain? But on the ground we were seeing that things aren't so good. So when we looked at the data a little deeper, and we actually looked at it across metrics, split it up, and opened it out a little bit, the picture was a little bit different. So I'll give you one example. One example is that if you look at the labor force, India's labor force, you can split it into, say, regular wage workers, casual wage workers, and self-employed. Now, over the last 10 years, the self-employed number of people in self-employed has grown. We almost have 50% of men in the self-employed category and 2/3 of women in the self-employed. So that again looks good. But the reality is that the income level, they are not working in jobs that are paying them anything great. In fact, many of them are working as unpaid family help. So it's not a good situation, even though the unemployment rate looks like it's improved. It hasn't, and women are actually really not in a good situation, particularly women, and also youth. So that is another very, very disturbing aspect. So if you look at India, all along we have we've been proud of the demographic dividend that we have, and we should have been, and we still have a fairly young population. But if you aren't providing jobs to the young, then how are we reaping the benefits of the demographic? So these aspects, it's not easy as just if you read the newspaper headlines, it doesn't occur, it doesn't strike us. So it's easy to be go gaga, oh, we are doing wonderful and so on. But we have to look at the reality on the ground. And
so in a way, we are squandering a demographic dividend.
I mean, I was looking at the recent PLFS survey also. It's deteriorated even further, the youth employment rates.
Yeah, in fact, the one thing which our report shows is that youth who are under 25, 42% of them are unemployed. This is the government's own data. Yeah. This is not what we are also saying. The government's own data says 42% of the youth under 25 are unemployed. 42%, correct? Yes.
That was 2022. It's higher now. It's 45% this year's.
Coming to another significant theme, that of social justice.
Yeah.
What does your report card state?
See, the claim of the Modi government was, if you see their manifesto, they said, we'll give the highest priority to ensuring security and prevention of atrocities against SC, ST, OBC communities, for example, right? But the reality was that there is a 48% rise in the cases registered under the SC, ST Prevention of Atrocities Act. There has been around a 50% increase in rape incidents against Dalit women. And whatever they've been saying about social justice is actually, they worked contrary to what they have said. It's not even like they said something, they did only half. They say one thing, but they've actually walked in the opposite direction. So, for example, if you look at the budget across all the years, there are, so the NCDH, a National Campaign for Dalit Human Rights, has done an analysis of every year's budget from looking at it from the lens of what it's done for the SC/ST communities. There are 3 main problems. One, the Niti Aayog has given guidelines about how much should be funded for SC community, how much for ST community. Every year, it's much less than what Niti Aayog has recommended. Second, the amount has not been fully utilized. Third, the schemes don't go to, these schemes are meant to be targeted at improving the lives of SC or ST communities, but half of it has gone to general schemes like PM Matru Vandana Yojana. That's applicable to all communities, not only that. And some obsolete schemes like some optic fiber laying, etc., that has been slotted under schemes for improving the lives of SC, ST communities, right? And you can see the kind of disregard they have for this cause by, in 2019-20, in that year's budget, around 700 plus crores was allotted for cow protection. and around 170 crores for protection of Dalit women through the implementation of the Atrocities Act. And you see that reserved jobs have vacancies in reserved jobs have been not filled at all, right? Around 50% in 9 central government ministries, and central universities have around 42% reserved jobs vacant. And you also saw what they did with EWS, right? So they brought in an entire new category of reservation of 10%, where SC, ST, OBC communities cannot claim that reservation, and it's only for that. And they fundamentally altered the basis of reservation itself, which itself is a very huge blow.
Sorry, I didn't understand. Fundamentally altered the basis.
Because constitutionally, the basis for reservation is on the basis of is to be provided for classes of people who are socially or educationally backward. But they brought in a new criteria of economics.
Economically weaker section.
Yeah, economically. So the economic itself is a new category. There is a reason why the constitution said socially and educationally backward. Because reservation is not for poverty alleviation. It's for representation. And if you see the representation, Modi government itself has said in High Courts and Supreme Court, since 2018, only around 2.5% judges from SC community were appointed and around 1.5% from ST communities, right? So this is not just the only thing, right? So even for tribal welfare, on the one hand, they speak of tribal welfare. On the other hand, 50% of FRA claims have been rejected. Lots of Adivasis have been evicted after the land has been given over to lots of private companies. After weakening the FRA, after weakening the Forest Conservation Act, and you weaken the environmental impact assessment process, and you encouraged projects, right? And so because of that, lots of people have been evicted. So where is the social justice? You've actually been going in the reverse direction. Then they actually set up schemes like Stand Up India, where they said that Dalit community also will be given loans, etc. And as per their own data, like even in 2017. Only 6% of the bank branches had given loans to people from the Dalit community. Right? So where are you actually going? They made another claim. They said that we're committed to eliminating manual scavenging and ensuring safety for Safai Karmacharis. In reality, even as per their own data, 1/3 of districts are yet to eradicate manual scavenging. But the reality is that almost every district has. But even their own data says 1/3 of districts are yet to do it. And the rehabilitation efforts, only 2.7% of the identified manual scavengers have received capital subsidy from the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So there is nothing really that they've done in terms of social justice. And in fact, the NCDHR analysis says of the budget, which is allotted for SC communities, only 3% is actually going to the SC community. Because one, under allocation, underutilization, and three, most of it is for very general schemes. Like between 2015 and 20, as per Niti Aayog guidelines, around 5.23 lakh crores were to be allotted, but only 2.55 lakh crores was allotted.
Coming to another important theme, union-state relations,
Yeah.
federalism.
Yeah.
Even on that, the Bahutva Karnataka report cards indict the government.
Yeah.
So, on what basis? Why do you say this?
See, in 2022, Mr. Modi said the country's federal structure, shaped by the principle of cooperative federalism, has emerged as a model for the world. But we've seen that in reality, it's not been cooperative federalism, but confrontational federalism, where you've actually gone head on head. We've seen that states had to go to Supreme Court to get drought relief. It's not just Karnataka, right? And even like Tamil Nadu. And states have had to go to the Supreme Court to say governors are not passing bills, governors are not doing their role, etc. And not just that, this government has interfered in state subjects also, right? So the new education policy was brought in without states being consulted. New education policy, in fact, recommends the setting up of a body like the HECI, Higher Education Commission of India, where all the higher education in the country will come to one body, which is like a very central body, right? Then you saw the COVID lockdown and demonetization, where no states were consulted, but it had a disastrous effect, but the states had to kind of deal with the effort. And we've seen how ED and CBI have been used against opposition. And the biggest thing is fiscal coercion. By increasing the revenue through cesses and surcharges, Modi government has taken more money, because cess and surcharge does not have to be divided with the states. It's going to be only with the center. And even to give any central scheme, they mandate conditions on the state. So states have to implement policies which they don't like if they want to get some share of central funds. So on federalism, to sum it up, there's been an attack on the economic rights of states. There's been an attack on the culture and identity of the different states.
Ms. Anupama, as Mr. Vinay pointed out, all these issues are of great importance to the Indian public, but none of this comes out in such sort of acute detail because perhaps media is not fulfilling its role. And interestingly, Bahutva sort of assessed the role of the media. So, why do you think the media has become so inadequate in a way, fulfilling its role?
Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for quite some time with regard to the media. So, in our report, we talk about, of course, the Reporter Sans Borders Index of Press Freedom, which is dropped from 2014 to from about 140 to about 160 almost in 2023 last year. And I think I mean that says it all. That's a 20-point drop in the this thing. I think the previous era, it took quite a long time to change like that, and this is I mean there are multiple factors. One is political alignment of the media. Second is ownership of media. Then third is violence. Journalists. I mean the number of journalists who have been killed, threatened. Um, and trolled, especially women journalists. I mean, so in our report we have brought out all these points, and these are really, really concerning because the reach of this media is huge, and this is what is happened. If the media has capitulated, then how will people really know what's happening? So this is a very, very important aspect, and we've sort of delved into the details of that in our media report.
Thank you, Mr. Mukama. If people want to read these reports, where can they access them?
It's on the Bahutva Karnataka website. So if you Google Bahutva Karnataka, BAHUTVA space KRNATAK, you'll find our website and it's all there. We also have a Twitter page at Bahutva KTK, which also has the links to our website and to like many of our reports. So all the reports are there. It's in English and Kannada, and the employment report is available in Hindi as well.
Thank you, Vinay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Anupama. Thank you. It'll be valuable if a lot of people follow up and read the reports to get a sense of what has been happening in important sectors over the past 10 years. Thank you. Thank you, viewers.